I hope you all enjoy. We're really excited to have you all in the room. We're very excited to welcome you when you are here. But we hope this session is going to be very informative and that you will get all information that you do require before time to travel to UCT. So to make things short, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first speaker of the day. She is the manager for the Student Support Unit, which is the team that will be taking care of you while you are here at UCT. So give a round of applause for Miss Noni Falala.
Thank you, Sibahle. Thank you, Sibahle, and welcome everyone to our pre-departure orientation. My name is Noni, as Sibahle was ready to introduce myself. I'm one of the managers in the international office. So what we're going to do today, we're going to try and give you all the information that we think that you will need for your arrival at UCT. And please, if you've got questions, you can be asking your questions on the chat. So UCT, you all know where we are, obviously. We're in South Africa in the Western Cape province, on top of the mountain, not on top, but somewhere there. And we have 6 faculties, different faculties, and we are ranked as the top university in Africa. And we have maintained that ranking for quite a number of years now. We're very proud of that. So you will not only get to study at the top university, but also meet with some of the greatest minds that you can meet. And our temperatures, as you'll be coming at the beginning of the year, you're actually coming during our summer. Please make sure that you pack some very light clothes, and yes, keep some warm clothes as well. Our temperatures, if it's very, very hot, it can reach something like 38 degrees, but normally 27 is more or less our average summer in Cape Town. And I think it's important that we actually share with you our academic calendar for next year. As much as UCT classes begin in February the 12th, you are going to be expected to be on campus earlier than that for orientation. My team is going to speak about pre-registration for all international students. That must happen in January or February. So you'll get to know about that. And I know that a number of you might want to take to go home during our long break at the end of our first semester. So you can prepare your tickets around the 12th of June, and you must be back on campus on the 22nd of July. And your final exams are in October to November. As much as the last day is the 20th of November, we find that sometimes you have your exams earlier than that. So you leave UCT after your last exam. And then how do you connect to UCT? We have what we call PeopleSoft, where you actually uploaded your applications. You've got your student number, which you must keep. That number, it's for life. Whether you come back and do whatever degree that you might want to come back at UCT, you still maintain the same number. My colleague Lauren will speak more on that on PeopleSoft, and also Amatuba. Amatuba is a platform that you use for your classrooms. Amatuba is also linked to Teams, whereby you actually have classes on the platform. But my colleague will speak more about that. And then what is the support that we give to international office? So we give support in terms of when you arrive, the orientation that we actually give to all international students. That include a tour of UCT and part of Cape Town as well. And there's also immigration support. My colleague is going to speak more on that. And we have events throughout the year that brings together international and local students. And please, you need to attend those events. Don't be left out. And talking about events, I just want to give you a taste of one of our events that we actually had this year. It's a small video where our UCT choir was singing in one of our events. Let's see if it plays. Is the sound? I don't think there's sound to my video. Just hold on. Someone has time to help me. Yeah, it's up. There's no sound. Anyway, if there's no sound, that's fine. So the video is going to be, we're going to share this video together with the, is there? Ah, perfect, perfect. Okay, I'm sorry to cut the video short, but you'll have access to it after this presentation. So these are some of the events that we give to our international students. These are students participating. So I'm hoping to see one of you guys in some of these events. And also maybe to just chat to you about what to pack. These are the type of plugs that we use in South Africa, and with excitement of the upcoming experience of being a UCT student, you might actually forget to pick some of these things. And in terms of clothing, I think I've spoken about that. And obviously, when you're far away from home, you miss your family. Obviously, now we don't keep, some time back, we used to have pictures, but now obviously we use our digital phones. Please ensure that you've got pictures of your family and you keep in touch with your family, and also your belongings, specifically your documents, your passport and your visa. Make sure that you keep digital copies of those and keep them safe throughout your stay at UCT. I think that's the last of my slide. And next up is Sivahle. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Sibahle. I am back. Before I begin with my presentation on traveling to Cape Town, I just wanted to reassure you that we will have a Q&A at the end of our session. So any of the frequently asked questions that we do observe in the chat, we will address at the end, and we will open up opportunities for you to present new questions then at the end. But there are moderators in the chat, staff members at the International Office who are answering the questions as we go. So if you do have questions as we go, you can either ask them in the chat. We will try to respond to you as quickly as possible. Otherwise, you can save it for the end and we will get to them at the end. So do not worry about that. But one question we have seen frequently, the information will be shared with you again after the presentation. So if you have missed out on anything, not worry, you will have your answers. But on that topic, let's help you travel to Cape Town. So once you have arrived in Cape Town, whether you're arriving at the airport or you're arriving at the bus terminal, as a new incoming student to the University of Cape Town, we do offer you arrival support in the form of a free ride from either the airport or the bus terminal to your accommodation. In order for you to gain that free service, then you do need to submit a request. You can submit this request on that link. Please, if the link is not working, please just hold on for a day. There sometimes are issues with our website. However, you just need to have submitted your form requesting an arrival support within 3 days of your arrival. So even in the new year, it is okay to submit that form as long as you have given us 3 days notice. We will then send you a voucher. We will then load you onto our Bolt app so that you can receive a free ride using that. So you will have to download the Bolt app. You can either download it now while you're still in your home country, or you can wait and then download it at the airport. There is free Wi-Fi at the airport. So you can do that then. If you do arrive within 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., what we like to call business hours, one of our friendly orientation leaders will welcome you if you are arriving within the recommended date. So that being from the 27th of January onwards. So from those dates, if you are arriving within business hours, we will have a friendly face in the form of an orientation leader. They will have t-shirts on and welcome signs, so you'll be able to identify them. Then they will assist you with loading a ride on your Bolt app. They can also assist you with getting your luggage into the vehicles and answering any questions that you might have at that point. So make sure to look out for orientation leaders if you do arrive, and please make sure that you do fill in that form so that we can issue you a ride. You cannot fill it in the day of or the night before. We will not be able to get it to you on time. It has to have a lead time of at least 3 days before you arrive. Now, once you have arrived in Cape Town, there are multiple modes of transportation and means that you can use to get in and around Cape Town. We have Uber, which I'm sure many of you are used to. We also have various other ride-sharing apps, including Bolt, Didi, InDriver, etc. Please make sure that before you use one of these, if you are unfamiliar with them, that you do your research just to be aware of the different safety protocols when using these buses, with these transportation mechanisms, as it is public transportation. However, one service that we do have for UCT students exclusively is the shuttle service. So the UCT shuttle services are buses that look like that blue bus that you see above there. They operate in and around the university environments. They're operated by university staff members, and it is a free ride that takes you throughout the various campuses and in a few suburbs, as well as to the town campus of UCT. To gain access to that, all you need to do is display your student card, and then also you can find the different schedules that tell you when the buses arrive, when they leave. On our website, you can just search UCT shuttle timetable, or you can also download the Go Metro app. So the Go Metro app will also provide you with information of when shuttles are arriving, what time they are arriving, which shuttle is going where the various stops are to get onto a shuttle, etc. But all that information can be easily found by searching UCT shuttle timetable, and it'll give you all of that information. So those are just two modes of transportation that you can use getting in and around campus. Can either use the free UCT shuttle, or you can use e-hailing services, which do incur a cost. But please make sure that you do search for safety protocols when using those, as it is public transportation. And on that matter of safety protocols, let's just address safety. I know this is a hot button issue as you're coming to South Africa. And as much as we want to ensure your safety while you are on campus, the fact of the matter is that UCT does exist within South Africa. And so Cape Town will always remain a microcosm of South Africa. Safety issues do prevail. We will address many of them in our orientation on the first day, so make sure you are there for that. However, here are a few safety emergency numbers that you can keep with you at all times should you find yourself in a predicament. However, we just do want to encourage you to please exercise safety and caution in all of your adventures. So make sure you do not walk around with your phone in your hands. Make sure that you are checking the details of the driver if you are using e-hailing services to make sure you're getting in the correct vehicle. As much as we love to greet in South Africa, don't engage in too much conversations with strangers. Keep yourself safe, walk in groups, etc. And we will give you a full detailed brief of safety protocols for you to adhere to while you are in South Africa during our orientation. But just be mindful of these numbers, as it will be helpful for you during your stay. There also is the campus protection services. Once you are on campus, you will see them walking around in their uniform. They are easily distinguishable through their uniform. So they are there on campus 24/7 to keep you safe. Next up, we will have Ms. Lana Fortain, who will give you a little more information on housing. So do stay tuned for that.
So good afternoon, everybody. As Sibach has mentioned, I'm Lana Fortain, and I am here to support you with your housing needs when you come to before you come to Cape Town. So I probably have spoken to a lot of you before, and this is about housing that is on campus as well as off campus. So With that being said, I do engage with you mainly through a web form. This is where we ask you a little bit of questions about who you are, what your housing preferences are, and how we can maybe support that. So as I mentioned, it is housing on campus as well as off campus. Most of you would have already done online applications for the UCT residences. Please note, those of you that hasn't done an online application, housing at UCT is now closed. So no late applications will be considered for that. But we still can assist you with options for off-campus if you haven't secured accommodation just yet. Just a quick note, if you have not received an offer for housing at UCT just yet, offers do come between November and December, sometimes even as late as January. But what we want to encourage is if you have not received a housing application offer by mid-December, to start looking at options off campus as well. We'd rather have you overly prepared than have you arrive in Cape Town and not have anywhere to stay. So if you do not have housing secured, if you have not received an offer by the mid-December from UCT, please do make contact with us, and you can find our web form on our website. You'll just have to go to student support and you'll find accommodation under that tab. So just a bit of information about UCT residences and off-campus accommodation. With UCT residences, you go into a formal placement process. So this means you don't get to choose the rooms or the residences that you are that you would like to live in, but the web form helps us communicate with the student housing office just about what your preferences are, and if they are able to accommodate that, then they will. But this is allocated to you ahead of time, so before you come. Okay. With the housing off campus, it is a little bit more, how can I say, free, in the sense that you are free to choose which landlords you would like to stay with. Yeah, sorry about that. It was a technical glitch. So yeah, as I was saying, when you're staying with a UCT, a private accommodation, you get to choose which landlords you want to stay with. Of course, the lease agreement is between you and the landlord. This does not mean that UCT is completely out of the link. We do provide advocacy services to you. We do also, we ask that you please consider private housing that is UCT accredited. These landlords are landlords that has been dealing with our international and local students for long periods, and they know how to support you. If you have a look at the little slide there, you'll find an image of a UCT residence, as well as one of the private landlords. These are not all the same, so please be aware of that. All the rooms are not as big or as shiny. They are different in the sense of sometimes you'll be spending time in a shared apartment with private rooms. Sometimes you'll go into a little studio apartment, or or you'll be placed into a student block, which has private rooms with en suites and then shared kitchen spaces. With the private housing, also similar settings, and it all obviously has different costs to it. So if you want more information, please do reach out to me via the web form, via email, or give our office a call. One of the things that we do often get asked about is rules and regulations. I want to encourage you not to think that if you go into a private house, that your rules are much less. It's very similar. It is all spaces shared by students. So you have to be mindful of that, especially when you are having social events, who you want in your spaces. The UCT residences and private landlords have very strict rules about that. So please do check that with the landlords. And yeah, that's about it from me. Please do reach out if you need any assistance or if you have any inquiries, and I look forward to chatting to you. I'll hand over to my colleague, Ms. Fiona, to speak to you about visa and immigrations.
Thank you so much, Lorna. It was really good. So, hey, everybody. So glad that you could join us today. And so, this is a critical part in order for you to actually travel to South Africa in next year. So, firstly, congratulations on the application, on being successful in securing an opportunity at UCT. So, in order for you to travel here, you would need a study visa. So basically, the roadmap to UCT is you would have applied online. Following the online application, it would have been reviewed by the faculty. And if you had met all of the requirements, you would have received either a firm or a conditional offer. Now, our system is set up in such a way that when a faculty issues a study offer, the system recognizes that an offer has been issued and it will trigger standard communication, which is labeled B85, which is an email that provides guidelines in terms of accommodation, medical aid, visa, and so forth, as well as the B84 coded letter. Now, the B84 coded letter is the letter that you would use when you submit your application at the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, basically the Consul General Office, the embassy in the country in which you reside. Applications vary sometimes. So the Department of Home Affairs and DIRCO has outsourced the application process to VFS in many countries. Where there is no VFS, it will be submitted directly at the embassy in that home country. So when it comes to the actual visa application, it is of utmost importance that you look at and ensure that you have all of the documents, because ultimately the objective is for the visa to be approved and then for you to be able to pre-register, which Lauren will speak about after me. So there are two fundamental reasons by which the Department of Home Affairs will issue a visa. The one is the individual must have provided proof of sufficient financial means to be able to sustain themselves while they're living in South Africa. So proof of financial means is basically you've provided them with sufficient proof that you have accommodation, you have sufficient financial means for your tuition, as well as your day-to-day living. Oftentimes we are asked, what does that number look like? It's very hard to say because it really depends on, as Lana was sharing about housing, what does your accommodation look like? If you look at the program that you are studying for, what does the fees for that program look like? So those are some of the factors that you need to take into account when considering proof of financial means. Also, day-to-day living. So apart from your accommodation, what is your food bill going to be like? Factor in your downtime if you want to go to the movies or something like that. If your parent is responsible for paying your fees, you will need a certified letter from the parent that says, if it was me, I, Fiona Irispi, am the parent of Judith Irispi, who will be studying at the University of Cape Town, and I take financial responsibility for her. Here is my ID, here is my passport details, and I undertake to ensure that Judith is not left destitute while residing in the Republic of South Africa. Secondly, what they want to see is that you have secured medical aid with a provider registered with the Council for South African Medical Aid Schemes. Now, sometimes we get the question, I'm on my mom's medical aid or my dad, and it's an international cover. Why can't I use that medical aid? The Department of Home Affairs is very clear on that. Even though you may have international cover, oftentimes it is insurance and not really medical aid. So if anything were to happen to you, if the service provider was registered with the Council for South African Medical Aid Schemes, the government would be able to hold that provider to account. And so there are two wonderful options available to you, which is Momentum and ComCare. Sometimes we have students that are already residing in South Africa. They've been living here with their parents. They've completed their secondary education. And so maybe the parent is working and they are on their parents, on your parents' medical aid. As long as it is valid and it is registered with the Council for South African Medical Aid Schemes, we will accept it. We will share with you the list of those medical aids, which is government gazetted by the Department of Home Affairs. Now you've submitted your application. Please, I implore you, read through all of the requirements with a fine-tooth comb. If you miss out any information, it could be the difference maker between the visa being processed and the visa being rejected. The processing timeline is anything from 8 to 12 weeks, sometimes a little bit longer, depending on where you are submitting from. So if you had received a firm or conditional offer, especially if you've received a conditional offer and you're still waiting to find out, we encourage you to please submit the application, because if you don't, you stand the chance of the visa not being issued in time for the 2020, for the following academic year. And so just to take those kinds of things into account when you submit your application to the Department of Home Affairs. And so ideally what we would want to see is that by the end of November or beginning of December, at the very latest, you would have submitted your application to either VFS in the country in which you reside or at the embassy in the country in which you reside. And so that would then give them sufficient time to be able to process the application. Important dates to be aware of is the Department of Home Affairs in South Africa receives applications up to the 14th or 15th of December. So this year it will be the 14th because we won the Rugby World Cup, yay! And so we got a public holiday on the 15th of December. And yeah, go South Africa! So, so DIRCO and the departments abroad, they close, they have a standard closure, which is from Christmas to New Year. And if you submit your application any later than the first week in December, it may be a problem in the new year. When you submit the application, one of the things that they would ask for, one of the other things that they would ask for is a police clearance certificate. Now, if you have lived in a country for 12 months consecutively, say you were a Namibian national and you'd done a stint abroad, for example, in Europe or in the UK, you would need to acquire a police clearance certificate from that country. And that sometimes could be, that sometimes holds up the process and creates a lot of anxiety and problems for our students. So just to be mindful of, we will send some more information with this link in terms of who requires a police clearance certificate, what are the parameters around that. If you are currently in South Africa and you've completed your secondary education year, you would have a visa that is endorsed for the school that you are currently at. What you would need to do is to apply for a change of condition to that visa for the visa to be endorsed for UCT. And the reason why that is as important is because without a visa endorsed for UCT, IAPA would not be, the international office would not be able to pre-register you. When you would notice that when you receive that B84 coded letter, there are 4 categories that it says this. We as an international office, we undertake to report to the Department of Home Affairs after registration on those various categories. And so we want to ensure that you've gone through your application with a fine tooth comb, and you have met all of the objectives and your application is approved, which means that you would be able to register in 2024. just some other information, just some additional support. I already spoke about the Council for South African Medical Aid Schemes. They are government gazetted, so that the Department of Home Affairs, if needed, can hold them to account. One of the other reasons why medical aid with the council that is registered is important. Heaven forbid anything should happen to you. The medical aid must have cover that would repatriate mortal remains. And so sadly, there have been some students that have passed. And so it just makes the process a little bit easier to get the body back home to the family. Now, if you are on a study visa, the immigration regulations makes allowances for you to study up to for you to work part-time up to 20 hours per week. That is for you just to earn some extra cash if you help. So your mom and dad won't have to be paying for your movies and your time out, out and about. But it's an opportunity for you to maybe work at UCT or at any of the other places around here. Now, we don't report on it. We don't report on, but it is regulated. Sometimes we are asked if you know it's vacation and now you want to work a little bit longer. It becomes a problem because the primary condition and the primary reason they had issued the visa was for you to study. And that was based on the study offer that you had received from UCT. So first and foremost is that you must study. Second to that, they're saying, so you're really awesome at your studies, but we also understand that you maybe want to earn some extra money, and you are allowed to do that for up to 20 hours per week. And so that is normally, if you're working at UCT, the faculty or the department may ask our office for a letter that confirms that you can work, and we will happily do that. We don't normally issue it outside of UCT. In the new year, once you've arrived, we will also talk through the visa renewal application process, but we will spend a little bit more time on that at a later date. So visa and immigration, we know can create a little bit of anxiety because you've worked so hard and so all you want is for that visa to be issued. But there are so many things that are outside of our control. And so we do as best as we can. We advocate on your behalf. So post the session, we may be sending out a survey to you just to gather your information to hear, have you applied, have you not applied? So that we then take that information and send it to the mission or the country where you had submitted an application and say, we can confirm that study offers were issued to these individuals and they have submitted application and this is what the application looks like. It gives us a little bit of leverage in terms of undertaking for you, but it's very, very important. They always, the missions abroad will always tell us that an application can only be successful if all the requirements are met. And sometimes you think all of the requirements are met, but you may have missed out on a document or so. So just to be very, very aware, sometimes Home Affairs will add in a requirement that may not have been before. So very recently, what they've started to ask for is for a copy of your birth certificate. That was never a requirement before. So just make sure, go onto the website of the mission where you will apply or to VFS and make sure that you tick as you go along. Check that you've got it. Make sure that all of your documents are in hand because we want to welcome you to Cape Town in 2024. So I hope you found that helpful. And now I will hand over to my colleague, Lauren. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona, and good day, everyone. Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever in the world you're calling from. It's nice to see so many of you have logged in. Following Fiona's presentation around immigration and visas, I'm going to talk you through pre-registration, which is the point whereby we are checking the immigration documentation that you've worked so hard to get in order to travel here and be a UCT registered student. So pre-registration, what is it and why is it important? So briefly, we define it as an administrative process whereby we can check and verify that you've got the necessary immigration documents in order to be a registered UCT student. And I'll go through those documents specifically in a moment. We also check to see that your initial fees are paid. And once both of those requirements in terms of immigration and initial fee payments are fulfilled, you will then be pre-registered. And so why is this important? Because as an institution, we have an obligation to report to the Department of Home Affairs in South Africa and give an indication through our reporting of all internationals who are registered at our institution. And so we use pre-registration in order to verify, capture information for reporting purposes. It's an immigration regulation requirement. So what is required? So I referred to if you see the 3 gray boxes that I'm sharing on the screen, the first box, in terms of immigration requirements. So if you're residing in South Africa, which is what most of you will do, we are a contact-based institution. Our coursework, our teaching is largely taking place in person. And so you're needing to travel here. Hence Fiona's explanations around getting the appropriate visa or changing your visa conditions if you are already here. So based on residing in South Africa, starting with that first gray box, what we will require from you for pre-registration, we would need a certified copy of your passport personal details page. You'll need a certified copy of a visa that's endorsed for study at UCT or for research at UCT. And I emphasize that point because we will not accept an immigration document that's endorsed for another institution. Say you were accepted at Stellenbosch or you were accepted at Wits or the University of Johannesburg or somewhere else. We need your study visa or research visa, whatever you have, it needs to be endorsed for research or study at the University of Cape Town. Then third bullet on that, in that gray box, medical aid registered with the Council for South African Medical Aid Schemes, also something that Fiona's mentioned already. It's important as per, again, the immigration regulation requirement that holders of study visas specifically have medical aid that's registered with the South African Council for Medical Aid Schemes, and that's for a variety of reasons. We understand that there's lots of international cover or international medical insurance that operates here. You can use it. You can access medical services by using international medical aid or medical insurance, but it doesn't fulfill the immigration regulation requirement for holders of study visas. And so because, again, for compliance purposes, reporting purposes, when we pre-register you and we verify and check your study visa, that it covers your program, that it covers the length of the program, and it's endorsed for UCT, we will require that you have medical aid valid for the full year or valid for the length of your program, renewed each year of registration, so that you can be pre-registered and the immigration component of pre-registration fulfilled. Then the fourth bullet point down below refers to modular programs. So for those of you who are coming in, and there's a small proportion of our programs whereby students are registering, they are coming in only for the block release component. So you'll arrive, come to South Africa, spend less than 3 months here, if at all that, maybe 2 weeks at a time. You'll come in and just participate in classes for that particular period of time and leave and go back home. This is applicable for programs offered through academic departments or units such as the Graduate School of Business. It also refers to programs offered through the UCT Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment. So they would offer modular programs. There are other examples, but I'll leave it there. But the emphasis being, if you're coming for a modular program, so a block release program, and you're coming from a visa-exempt country whereby you can travel, you can enter South Africa, and you don't need a visits visa, even if it's for a short stay of less than 3 months, then what we would need for pre-registration, if you're residing here for a short period, again, less than 3 months, then we would need certified copy of your passport personal details page, and we'll need your entry stamp to indicate that you've arrived and you're here, and some written confirmation that your program is modular. So you're only here for a brief period of time. So second gray box. For those of you who are residing outside of South Africa, and this will largely be relevant for internationals whereby your program it's a dissertation that you're doing, and so you're doing field work abroad, or depending on where you are in your studies, you can possibly commence your studies back home. So you can register and start and only travel and arrive here at a later period. So then the middle box is applicable for you. And what we would need then, if you're not residing in South Africa at all, or not residing here for the entire academic year, then we'd need for pre-registration immigration clearance, a certified copy, again, of your passport personal details page. We'll need written confirmation that your program is being completed outside of South Africa, or that your program is modular. So for the large proportion of the year, you are a remote study student. And by remote, again, you are outside of South Africa, not just away from the campus, but in the country and in the city, but physically outside of the country. Alternately, instead of written confirmation, you could use the remote pre-reg application form. Very straightforward form to complete. As the applicant, you would insert your personal details. You will indicate on the form what type of pre-registration this is. Are you going to be outside of the country for the entire year? Are you going to be outside of the country for a portion of the year and travel later, at which point you will give us a copy of your immigration documentation? And that form then gets signed off by a member of staff in the UCT faculty admin office where you are registering. So whether that's the Faculty of Humanities or the Faculty Office for Commerce or the Faculty Office for Engineering and the Built Environment, that remote pre-registration form needs to be signed off by a staff member that's situated within that faculty admin office or within the academic department that has the authority to sign registration-related forms. As the applicant yourself who's asking to be pre-registered remotely, you can't sign that form. And it's a means to be accountable to that faculty admin office so that they can indicate to you, yes, we know that you are pre-registering and registering remotely and you are allowed to do this. Your program makes room for it. It can accommodate that. Okay, so moving on to the last gray box for fees, and I'll touch on this very briefly. My colleague Halima will unpack this in way more detail. But again, as I started out and said, for pre-registration, we need proof that you've got the immigration documentation, number one. Two, proof that you've paid the required initial fees for tuition and also for housing if you are staying in UCT accommodation. So it depends on what fees are applicable, and for the different programs, there's different fees, but basically for the fees clearance component of pre-registration, we would need proof that you've paid what you've needed to pay. And Halima will tell you that in more detail. And so our preferred method for payment is Flywire. You can also pay via credit card. Essentially, we just need proof that you've paid, and that needs to be submitted as part of the pre-reg process. For the immigration side, as well as for the fees side, you are submitting your information to us through a service request. And that happens in PeopleSoft, which is our student administration system, and I'll demonstrate that in a moment. I'm referring to the notes now at the bottom of the three gray boxes, again highlighting that we would require certified copies of your immigration documentation. We don't expect you to pay to have your documents certified or notarized. You can ask that a notary stamp your documents as well. We do have certification services available at our offices, and more information about where to find us, how to find us will be provided to you. So if you're unable to get your documentation certified before you leave your home country and travel to South Africa, you can do that in person at our offices. But we will need you to then take scanned copies of that documentation, upload it via a service request, and submit that to us through the PeopleSoft student admin system so that we can process that and make sure that we've checked your immigration information online, checked your proof of fee payment online, and lifted both of those holds to enable you to then register. Second point in the notes section. Sorry, I skipped slide by mistake. So I'm back on my initial slide. Second bullet point under notes is for those of you who hold asylum seeker, refugee, or permanent residence permit status for South Africa. We will accept any one of those three documents. It needs to be valid though, valid asylum seeker permit, valid refugee permit, and valid permanent residence permit for South Africa. And if you provide a certified copy of any one of those three, we'll accept that in lieu of passport personal details page, in lieu of study visa, and in lieu of medical aid that's registered with the Council for Medical Aid Scheme. So those three documents will replace what's in the first gray box, but it needs to be valid and it needs to be certified copies. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate in our student admin system how you would submit your service request for immigration clearance and for fees clearance. Just going to share a different screen. Need to go by. Okay, there we go. So you will log in using your alphanumeric UCT student number and your password. And thank you for your patience. We're just logging in. All right, so this is an example of what your student self-service portal will look like. This is a student homepage. It's got various tiles that's applicable at different stages of your registration, different stages of your, well, at this stage as an applicant, but then once you are registered and in the system, there's different tiles that become visible to you. So for the purpose of pre-registration, these two tiles are applicable. So the one I'm hovering on now shows you a yellow triangle with an exclamation mark, okay, in the middle. And that's applicable to reveal if you have any hold on your record. So when we enter 2024 and you're needing to pre-register, there'll be default holds on your record. And when you click on them, it will give more information and the notification will read that you need to submit visa and passport and medical aid information for immigration clearance. And you need to submit proof of fee payment for fees clearance. So that will reveal that there's tasks that you need to action in order for the holds to be lifted. If you are coming in for certain programs where there's other requirements, so from an international office perspective, as international applicants and students next year, prior to your enrollment, there'll be 2 holds that are on your record from our office. But from the other academic admin departments and spaces on the institution, there may be other holds. There may be things that they require of you, and the hold will be in place on your record until you fulfill that requirement. But I'm mentioning this so that once the holds are lifted, this should be clear. And it should read that there's no current tasks that you need to action. There's nothing outstanding. But as you access this page, by default, there should be at least 2 holds, which is related to pre-registration. So in order to action what's required, this tile that I'm hovering on now is the service request tile. So you'll click on that. When you scroll down to the bottom, you select Create New Service Request. You want to choose the last one. So this button, International Student Pre-Registration Applications. Go next. You'll have to do both separately. Okay, so you'll have to keep the information separate, upload the immigration documents for the immigration component of what's required, and upload the fee payment documents in a separate service request. So I'm going to start with the immigration documents. Next. So it opens up in the comments box and you can type whatever comments you want, or you can leave it blank. You're going to select Add Attachment. It's preferable that you would have saved all of the required attachments in one PDF. So it's preferable that you do that. It is possible that we can still process your documentation if you're uploading your things separately, as long as it's certified and as long as you are uploading what's required. But it's preferable that you upload one PDF of all of your certified documentation. You click submit. So that's a new service request that has now been generated. The request date reflects today's date. The status is submission received. That triggers a notification on our end as administrators. We then process and open up the information. We check and verify that it is what we require and what we've indicated. If there's anything outstanding, we'll send it back to you with the status reading incomplete. And you'll then be able to go into that very same service request that reads incomplete and upload what's outstanding. Okay. Our processing timelines is 3 to 5 working days that we'll open up and action your service request. And we'll accept the service request provided that everything that's required is there. So the next one, proof of payment documents. So I selected the button create service request. Next button, upload proof of payment documents. Click next. Again, it opens up by default into the comments box. You are welcome to post a comment. You can also leave it blank. It's up to you. Select add attachment. Payment documents. And upload. Again, the finance colleagues will then receive this on their end once it's submitted. It will come to them with a notification and the initial status will read received. They'll then check to see that the monies are fulfilling what the initial fee payment requirements are. If they are happy, and Halima will explain in detail what will make them happy, they'll then accept that fee payment service request. And once accepted, once both service requests are accepted, both immigration and both fees, once both are accepted, the holds will be fully lifted. That task box that I initially hovered on will read no current tasks, and then you can then continue with your online registration. Okay, I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Halima. She will explain fees in more detail. Need to hover back to our presentation. Thank you so much. I'll see you at the end for questions. Okay, let's quickly toggle through. Here we go. Over to Halima.
Thank you, Lauren. Hi there. My name is Halima Daris, and I'm part of the finance team. And I will be sharing you what you need to pay in order to be fees cleared. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Oh, Lauren, these slides. Okay, sorry. Here we are. Okay, this is purely for SADC students. So if there are SADC students here, and you are paying out of pocket, then there is an option which we call the initial payment option for you to pay your fees in order to be successfully cleared for pre-registration. So if you are SADC and you are self-paying students, we need from you 36,000 Rand. And that is a portion of your amount. It's not the entire fees for the year. It's just a portion, but at least it allows you to be pre-registered in order for you to then successfully go and do your academic registrations. And besides the 36,000 Rand, we also, if you've been offered housing or you applied for housing, there's a further initial amount that is required from you, which is for catered residents, 39,000 Rand. And for self-catered residents, it's a further 26,000 Rand. So if you are SADC student and you've applied for housing and it's catered, we will need the 36,000 Rand from you. plus a further 39,000 rand. Any amount below that, if we haven't received the entire amount, unfortunately, we won't be able to lift the fee block for you. This is for all SADC full-time students only. However, this is not, this does not apply. We don't offer initial payments for students who apply for research degree. The entire amount, unfortunately, needs to be settled in full. So this proof of payment is then uploaded on service request. Okay, then we are going to the next slide. This is for all other students from any other country in the world, non-SADC countries. For all full-time international fee-paying students, except students who's registering for a research degree, are paying 110,000 rand. That is the amount, not the full entire fee amount for the year. That is just the initial amount. It's 110,000 rand, and that goes towards your tuition. Plus, if you've been offered residence, housing, you pay a further 39,000 rand, or if it's self-catered, you pay 26,000 rand. Then, for master's degree students, the initial amount is, and that is for master's degree by coursework and dissertation, you pay 73,000 rand. So undergraduate students who's doing an honors degree, postgraduate diploma or postgraduate certificate students, they pay 110,000 rand, which is the initial amount. For masters by coursework and dissertation, you pay 73,000 rand. Students who are doing a research degree, research by master's degree by research only, they pay the entire amount, as well as the PhD degree. PhD students, they pay the entire amount. Unfortunately, there's no initial payments offered to them. Then I just want to add that all initial payments are due prior to your pre-registration, but not later than the 2nd of February 2024. If payments are made after the 2nd of February, there will be a once-off 8% penalty, late payment penalty fee that's going to be billed to your tuition fee account. And once we receive that amount, we receive it in our bank account. So we need to make sure it's in our bank accounts in order to lift the fee block for you. So we suggest that you rather do your payments a few days before you initiate a service request. Okay, for funding students, for students who's receiving funding, these are the options for UCT funding. That would be departmental funding, letters that are provided to you, that are issued to you, and it must be signed by the host. And any other UCT funding letters can be uploaded to the service request in order for us to lift the block. However, the amount stated on there needs to be the entire initial amount. If, for instance, you need to pay 73,000 rand initial payment, but your funding letter only states 60,000 rand, for instance, you need to pay the shortfall first. We make sure the money has been received in our bank account, and then we can lift the block for you. Then a lot of SADC students are offered government funding, and we only accept funding that is pre-listed. It's long-standing funders or sponsors. Then we can actually lift that block for you. However, if we don't know who, if we haven't dealt with the sponsor yet, and we don't know anything about the sponsor, you can gladly upload that letter. We will check to see if it can be endorsed for you. If not, the sponsor will have to pay upfront first, provide you with the proof of payment to upload, and then we can lift the fee block for you. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Almost done. Okay, payment methods. Lauren has actually mentioned that we do have our preferred method of payment for full degree students only, which is called the Flywire. And but those payments can only be made if you do your payment via a foreign banking account. Unfortunately, it's not available yet to students who will do the payment via a South African bank account. So Flywire, that is our preferred method of payment. And then if you don't have a foreign bank account and you do have a South African bank account already, and you want to make a payment via that account, we do have other options, which is the online credit card payment facility, which can be found on the UCT website. We also have, or you can do a normal EFT. You can just click on there and it will take you to the information that we require in order to do your payment. Then we also have a Proforma invoice self-service portal available for you. If you are needed to have a Proforma invoice submitted to for your sponsor before they can do the payment. I know there's a lot of countries, SADC countries, the banks also need a Proforma invoice. So you can actually create your own Proforma by using the public platform. Okay, and then lastly, this slide, it's just an example of the payment schedule and how you are going to be billed. So you're going to be billed for your courses. You will also be billed for SADC students are not being charged an international faculty faculty international charge, which is an out-of-state charge. So SADC students don't pay that. You will only be charged the course fee and an admin fee. For next year, it will be 5,000 Rand. And so, for instance, if you can see on the first one, the total amount is 61,450 that's for SADC students. So as I mentioned, the initial payment is then 36,000 Rand. So if you can't pay the entire amount, you can pay 36,000 Rand in order to be allowed to go to the next step. For any other student, for instance, a master's degree, it will be for coursework. There's that faculty international fee, and you will be charged an admin fee as well. And as is mentioned, the initial payment is 73,000 Rand. And also, I just wanted to mention that if you've done your coursework the 1 year, it's coursework and dissertation, but you've done your coursework the 1 year and now you need to re-register for your dissertation the following year. That entire initial payment is due again. So you will be charged for the dissertation, you will be charged the admin fee again, and you will be charged the international term fee, which we also call as, it's also the charge that the faculty charges you, which is the faculty international fee. So you will have to pay that amount again, plus your dissertation, plus your admin fee. So every time, and if you back for a 3rd year and you need to register for your dissertation again, it's again dissertation fee, faculty international fee, plus your admin fee. So you can actually refer back to this if you are in need to find out what it is that you need to pay or how you are going to be billed. Then the last slide, it's just some additional information. You can just refer back to that. It's basically just to say that our asylum seekers and students from a refugee and international staff do not pay the international term fee, which is the faculty international fee, nor the admin fee. So if you fall under that category, you will only be charged the course fee. Coursework, certificates, diploma, bachelor's, honours, postgraduate certificates, postgraduate diploma, all those type of courses, like I said in the second slide. All degrees except masters pay the 110,000, so that will be course fee plus the international term fee plus admin fee. Master's degree by coursework and dissertation, you pay coursework as well, plus the international term fee, plus the admin fee each year of registration. Then the research students doing master's degree by research only, or PhD doctoral degrees, they only are charged the tuition fee plus the admin fee. And in SADC fee, as I mentioned, it's just the course fee plus the admin fee. And then the last slide, just want to mention, this is purely for semester study abroad students. I'm going to hand you over to Judith after this slide, but just to mention that self-paying semester study abroad students, you will receive a pro forma invoice submitted in US dollars, and this pro forma invoice will include payment instructions for your international bank transfer. So we urge you not to use the other payment options that's available, which is the Flywire payment option or the credit card online payment facility that's available. We need you to do a bank transfer, and that will have to be in US dollars only. Then all semester study abroad students will be required to initiate a service request as well in order for us to lift the fee block for you. So if you are a self-paying student, you upload your proof of payment that you've made in US dollars. And we will, once we receive the funds, we will lift the fee block for you. Partner university and study abroad provide students, you will receive a fees clearance letter from the SSA unit, which you then upload via service request. And once we receive that, we will lift the block for you. Thank you. And I think that's it from me. I'm going to hand you over to Judith.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, wherever you are. My name is Judith Roberts. I am the coordinator for the Semester Study Abroad program at UCT. So today I'm just going to speak to you a little bit about the course pre-approval process, specifically for semester study abroad students. So as some of my colleagues have mentioned earlier, there are a number of different processes that incoming international students need to follow prior to their registration as students here at UCT. So for all of the SSA students who are listening, if you haven't already, sorry, I just want to move to the next slide. If you haven't already accepted your study offer online, please do make sure that you do so as soon as possible. You can do this, as Lauren showed you earlier, through PeopleSoft. So yeah, if you haven't yet done that, please remember to do so. Then moving on to the course pre-approvals, when you submitted your semester study abroad application, you would have selected up to 4 courses that you were interested in enrolling in for the semester. So now that you've been accepted to the program and received a study offer, what we have done is we have taken your course selection and sent that directly to the various academic departments that host those courses. As part of this process, you will already have been receiving email notifications to update you on your course pre-approval status per course. As you can see on the right of my slide, there are 4 different statuses that you can get. Approved means that you've met all of the course entry requirements and you're eligible to take the course. A pending status would mean that either that your course pre-approval request still needs to be reviewed, or that the relevant approver is making a decision. You could be denied for a course, which means that the academic department has determined that you don't meet the entry requirements for the course, or perhaps that you don't have the relevant prior academic experience that's required for that specific course. If you do received a denied status for a course, this doesn't mean that you are not able to continue with registering as a semester study abroad student. It is specific to that particular course. And we can help you to find a replacement course. If you have a replacement course in mind or an alternative course in mind, you can email our team at ssa@uct.ac.za, and we will help you to get pre-approval for your replacement course. And then the final status is to be confirmed at registration, or TBC at registration. You may receive this type of status if the academic department has a few more questions about your prior experience in that specific subject area, or where an approver may have recommended a new course, or that may be more appropriate to your academic level. Okay, so it's important to remember that even though you may have selected up to 4 courses, that when it comes to the actual academic registration process, you will only be able to register for approved courses. So you will receive an email summary of your course pre-approvals from our team this week, and then in about the middle of December as well, just so that you are aware of your general course pre-approval statuses. Moving along then to academic registration. This step takes place after you have completed all of the pre-registration tasks that Fiona, Lauren, and Halima have spoken to you about a little bit earlier. Once all of those are complete and your pre-registration blocks have been removed, you will receive an email invitation to complete your academic registration online during the week of the 5th of February until the 9th of February. We will be sending you a little bit more information about how to complete this process, so please don't worry. It's quite simple and straightforward. As I mentioned, when you do register online, you will only be able to select your approved courses. And that takes me to the 4th step and final step, which is called change of curriculum. So if you do have any courses that are not in an approved status by the time you arrive in Cape Town, and by the time you are completing academic registration, then there is a process that you can follow to still seek late approval for these courses. This takes place during the first week of teaching for the semester, and that will be during the week of the 12th to the 16th of February 2024. But you don't need to worry about this too much right now. It's just so that you are aware that there is another opportunity for you to receive approval for any courses that you perhaps don't get early or pre-approval for at this stage. If you do have any questions, then you are welcome to email our team. Again, the email address for semester study abroad students is ssa@uct.ac.za. All right, I think that's all from me for now. I'm going to hand back to Sibahle.
Hi, everyone. So I am back, and just to give you a bit of information regarding the orientation as well as our buddy program. So you by now might have heard from your academic faculty. If you're coming for a full degree, then you will likely have orientation with your academic faculty during the first week of the orientation period. So that is from the 31st of January up until around the 2nd of February. So that first week, you'll have orientation with your academic faculty. They'll be teaching you how to register, making sure you know different information about the faculty, how to get around, and just how to navigate your career as a student. Once you are finished with your faculty orientation program, in the following week from 5 to 9 February, you will have international student orientation. So this is a separate program that runs after faculty orientation. It is open for semester study abroad students, exchange students, undergraduates, as well as postgraduate students. So all students are invited to attend, and there are different offerings for each student. A few of the highlights that we can identify for you are a student mixer where you will get the opportunity to meet all of your fellow students, engage with them and make friends. That is on day one. On day one, we also provide you with a campus tour. We help you collect your student cards. And also we provide academic orientation. This will be for the semester study abroad students, so that we can assist you further with any questions regarding the course approvals that Judith just spoke about. And we also have a postgraduate orientation where we'll be giving you different support services and information that is necessary for you, kind of like how to deal with relations with your supervisor, what your year will look like, how to do the memorandum of understanding, and other things that you'll need to know as a postgraduate student. That stuff all happens on day one of international orientation. On day two, the highlights, you learned about different support services at UCT. That's campus protection, the student wellness services, all those different services that are necessary during your stay. You'll also get to learn how to do some African drumming. That's a little fun activity. And we end off the day with an amazing race. So that is a fun, very interactive experience that you'll be excited to experience. On day three, we get cultural orientation. So any questions you have about culture shock, just wanting to understand the different cultures and tribes and languages in South Africa so that you really know how to navigate your time here. That information you'll get on day three. You'll also get to meet your student leaders. So that's when you meet your SRC and the different leaders that exist in UCT. And we'll end off the day with a talent show. That's going to be a lot of fun. You'll be in groups and competing against each other. It's going to be a lot of fun on day three. On day four, there will be a welcome festival that is going to be facilitated by the Department of Student Affairs. Then you'll get to sign up for all the different societies you might want to join, any sports clubs. You'll get to meet all other students because that will not just be for first years, but it'll be for all students. There'll be jumping castles, music. It's just going to be a fun day on the UCC field. And then just for our international students on day 5, we close it up with a peninsula tour. So then we'll be taking you all around the Cape Peninsula. You'll get to see the penguins, the beaches, you get to see Cape Point. And for that, you sign up during orientation. So the link will only be shared during our 5-day orientation. Can't sign up before, and you have to be in attendance to sign up. So look out for those links once you arrive at our orientation program, and also make sure that you are there for your faculty orientation program so they can help you with the registration program and get you clued up, and then come to the fun the following week afterwards at the international orientation. Additionally, we have a buddy program. So this is a program that works to link international students with current students. They can also be international, or they can be South African students. And so you are linked with a student who is currently a senior student at UCT, and they provide you with social support. So this isn't any academic support. There aren't academic mentors who give you advice on careers and advice on your curriculum. You can get that sort of support through your faculty or your residents if you are in residence. But this is a social program. So this is where we pair you up with someone and hopefully become friends. You go out and watch a movie. You hang out on campus. They're the person you can ask advice for ask questions if you need to understand how things work at UCT. They are there to share their culture and their language with you, and hopefully you can share it with them also. And for that buddy program, you also sign up during our orientation program. So once you have arrived between the 5th and the 9th, we will send you the link and you can sign up to be paired with someone from South Africa and they'll help you to hopefully integrate into our new university space. So those are a few exciting things that we're looking forward to. As we said, you will see friendly faces like these at the airport if you're arriving within the recommended days. And our orientation leaders, who are all senior students, they're going to bring the vibe, they're going to bring the party, they'll help you really ease your nerves and answer any questions that you do have coming into the year. So we're excited to see you at orientation. Make sure you attend your faculty orientation. Make sure you attend international orientation, sign up for the different programs, and become a UCT student. So the recommended days, I see there's a question with regards to that. That will be communicated to you in the new year. So your faculty will send you an email telling you when their orientation starts and when they want you in the country. We'll also send you an email